We started these mighty conversations 2 decades ago, and there's no time like the present to talk about the things that are important. I'm Commissioner Khadijah, and this is the Mighty Six Conversations. Welcome to another edition of Mighty Six Conversations. I'm Commissioner Khadijah Abdul Rahman, affectionately known as Commissioner Khadijah. Today we have an informative and empowering show. Don't adjust your TV sets. There's nothing wrong with your video. As you know, we had an issue with flooding and a few weeks ago, and our studio was compromised. But as they say on Broadway, the show must go on. It's campaign season, but most of us would say it's always campaign season. So today we're going to speak with Nadine Williams, Director of Fulton's Registration and Elections, to provide you with important information on registration, early voting, absentee ballots, and municipal redistricting. It's everything you need to know, so be sure to stay tuned with us for voting details. But first, a New York-based LGBTQ+ advocacy group has established a second location right here in Atlanta. The group is Destination Tomorrow. It opened its doors to the Atlanta community in May of last year. This group provides crucial services to the LGBTQ+ community that includes healthcare, career readiness, and financial literacy. Joining me today is Alex Santiago, who is Chief Operating Officer of Destination Tomorrow at both the New York and Atlanta locations. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, I know about you, but I want you to tell our audience about the organization and how it started.
Well, Destination Tomorrow first started back in 2004 in the Bronx, New York. It was started because people had to go outside of their area to get services. So the founder, who is Sean Coleman, decided to bring the services to the community. So that's how it started.
So let me ask you this: having a location in New York and having one in Atlanta is a tall order, and you basically are running both. How do you do it?
A lot of water, a lot of sleep. But I believe it's just my passion for community that drives me. I'm not one whose story is one that relates to my community, as far as I didn't have the lived experience. But fortunately, I was raised by a parent who taught me that service is the rent you pay for living. So, and any blessing that I have is not mine to keep, but mine to carry, give to someone else.
Okay.
So that drives me, seeing people with less than I have and not having the opportunities that I have, it makes me want to provide the services for them.
Okay. What specific services? Now, we know that you service the trans community and the community of color.
Correct.
But what specific services are you targeting here in Fulton County?
I'm glad you said that about Fulton County, because we just opened a house for homeless black trans men in your district.
Oh, wow.
In South
Thank
Fulton.
You.
So that's one of the services that we provide. There are a lot of homeless shelters in the city, but not any that are safe for people that identify as trans. So that's one of the services that when we first came to Atlanta, we knew we had to jump on immediately. But that's just one. We have a gender marker and name change clinic, because we found that people were having a hard time accessing services because their name didn't match their gender identity. We provide a food pantry we just opened. We have financial literacy program, because one of our main goals is not to just provide resources, but to empower people beyond the resources.
Okay.
Because after the resources, then what? So we have a job readiness program, we have resume building. We do a lot.
You all do.
We do a lot. And we've only been here a year in Atlanta. And we've made a tremendous impact, I believe.
You know, the thing that I love about you all is you're about educating the community. And what kind of information would you all put out there for those that want to not only be advocates, but they want to know they may have a trans son or daughter, relative, they may have a trans employee. And you know, the old saying is, you know better, you do better.
Right.
And so in that respect, what do you all offer to individuals that want to be advocates or want to learn more about employing or working or just supporting the trans community?
Okay. We have support groups, not just for our clients, but for parents, for youth who are not quite sure. You know, so we have support groups for them. We have diversity and inclusion training. We just actually held a diversity and inclusion training for Fulton County Department of Health.
Wonderful.
And it was an amazing opportunity for not just them, but for us. And it's funny because a lot of the people that were in that class had no idea what pronouns were.
Wow.
So to be able to sit there and teach them the difference between pronouns, and it's funny because one of the guys, he raised his hand, he said, you know, this may be a really dumb question, but isn't they plural? Like, why would somebody want to be called they? Isn't that more than one person? So for us to be able to, you know, sit there and explain to them the difference in the pronouns and just to see the look on their faces and to get emails later saying, wow, you know, as old as I am, I never knew that a pronoun mattered. You know, so just having those type of training opportunities for businesses, for individuals, for parents, things like that make a huge difference in community.
Well, see, I'm kind of spoiled because I know the work that you do, but I would be remiss if I didn't take this time for you to be able to plug the concern that we have with the trans community and how it's been under attack, how we have lost so many members of the trans community, and a lot of times they're unsolved murders, they're unsolved attacks. And just kind of educate our constituents right now why we consider that to be very important that we let people know.
My philosophy is everyone should be treated as a human. It doesn't matter their gender identity, it doesn't matter their sexual orientation. If we just treat people like we want to be treated and as just a human with the same rights, then we wouldn't have the problems that we have. For someone to be murdered just because they don't identify the same way you identify is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Last year, at a gala that we hold every year, there were 36 names on the slideshow. 36 names. And out of the 36, there were only 4 where the murderers were caught. 4. And it's because people just don't care. They treat animals better than they treat trans people, and that's sad.
That's a sad commentary, but I hope by you being on the show today and letting people know that you have an organization that not only serves the trans community, but also educate, because you do have advocates out there like me. You do have individuals that's willing to ring the bell, so to speak, to make sure that we're all inclusive. I'm still trying to figure out how do you do it in 2 of this really very fast-paced place. You probably spend very little time getting any rest or anything, but now you have a staff that's here and in New York.
I do.
Wow, and your staff is, how many are in your staff?
Well, actually in Atlanta, there's only 2 of us.
Oh, wow.
So we're hiring, but it's very, very, very challenging in Atlanta because we're still trying to build.
Okay.
New York, we have a lot of employees in New York. We just were awarded a sanctuary site by the city of New York.
Okay.
So we were able to hire almost 200 people.
Oh,
so we're
wow.
not just educating the community, and we're employing the community.
I got you.
As well. So that's a good thing. A lot of our clients that come through our programs, we employ.
Wow.
So that's one of the good things.
Well,
about
let
us.
me ask you, because you know people say what do they say? Atlanta influences everything. I think in some cases it does, in some cases it doesn't. But being in New York and being here, what kind of legislation or policies or things that you think that we should be pushing forward, or you would like to see more here in the county?
Okay, so I'm an ATLian. Like, I know that's rare now these days, but so it was very important for me that we mirror some of the services that we have in New York because I see how it affects people in a positive light. Now, I'm going to go a little off of the legislation because the people that we serve, they care about the legislation, but that's not what's most important to them. What's most important to them is being able to access health care,
Okay.
to be able to have somewhere to sleep at night where they feel safe, to be able to have a hot meal.
Got you.
So that's where my focus is right now, more than the legislative part of it, even though that's very, very important, don't get me wrong, because with the SB 140, it affected our youth to a point where we had to implement special programs just to support them. One of them being Healing Through Art, where we have support groups where they come in and they just paint. Just paint.
Well, when you say SB 140, I know what it is, but for the sake here, we always take an opportunity to educate people. I think
Correct.
education is empowerment.
Correct.
Let our constituents know what is SB 140.
It's a law that our Georgia legislative body approved, where it limits hormone replacement treatment for youth. And for them, they may have been looking at it as of, we're protecting our youth, when really it's harming them. Because a lot of trans youth, they already know, and so to keep them from the hormones that they need to be able to live in their true identity, it was harmful to them mentally.
Gotcha.
And we had a lot of parents calling, I don't know what to do because my child is depressed. We can't get them the treatments that they need now. How can you help us? And we've had to actually send people to New York. We've had to send
Wow.
people to other states to get these treatments to save these kids' lives, So,
The thing that most people don't know, that I want to point out as well, when you're talking about trans youth, they have an alarming rate of attempted suicide.
yes.
And so it is at what I consider to be epidemic levels. And we should listen. We should listen to when people are feeling like nobody's listening, and the only thing they can do because they're hurting is to take their lives. We should be listening.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad that you spoke on that. Let me ask you this as we begin to close. What are the things that you want the community to know that we should be working on? I know legislatively you like to stay away from that, and I can understand why. But what are the needs? What are what I call the kitchen table issues that you want the broader community to know from our talk today?
That trans people are human. They need the same resources that everyone else has. They need access to health care. They need access to healthy food. They need access to safe places to lay their head at night. And if we can get people those resources, then I believe everything else will take care of itself, because when a person has food on their table, they have somewhere to lay their head, then they'll take care of their other basic needs. But we have to be there to help them, just a step up. That's most of the time that's all people need. Just, a step up, not a handout, but like just a step up.
The basic needs of life.
Basic needs of life.
Well, thank you for joining us today on Conversations with Khadijah. I feel so honored, and remember, you're always welcome to be here. Can you give the information, social media, office, website, to our audience so they can reach out?
Yes, the website is www.destinationtomorrow.org. and you'll find all of our social media on there. We have kind of like quirky social media handles, so I don't want to give you the wrong information, but everything's on our website.
Okay.
Access to all of our resources in Atlanta and New York. And we have another office opening soon in another state, which I won't say yet, but stay tuned.
Well, thank you for being with us today. There's more to come on Mighty Six Conversations. It's an election year, and we've got you covered with all the information you need to know. That's coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Mighty Six Conversations. With elections being on the horizon, Fulton County has been busily preparing for elections this year and those to come. I have the pleasure of introducing you to Nadine Williams, who is the director of Fulton County's Department of Registration and Elections. Nadine, thank you for joining us, and I'm going to take a moment of personal privilege. I love the fact that you are running things down there, because you are the hardest working woman in registration and elections, other than Patrice Perkins. I got to put that out there. But just tell my audience who you are and how long you've been in your position.
Okay, well, again, thank you for the invitation. My name is Nadine Williams. I'm with the director currently for registration elections. I used to be the equipment manager. Before that, then I was an elections chief as well. I've been with elections for over 10 years now.
Wow. A lot of history with Fulton County, a lot of behind the scenes. What is your department responsible for?
I used to be one of those people that thought that elections didn't work year-round, but we do. So we have to oversee the voter registration for over 800,000 voters. That means we have to, process new applications for voters, send out notices for hearings and challenges. We have to program equipment, conduct voter education drives, train and recruit over 2,500 poll workers at over 183 voting sites, maybe 40 advanced voting sites, all that to make sure everybody in Fulton County has a fair opportunity to vote.
I appreciate that. Here we believe education is empowerment. Mm-hmm. So can you share with our viewers, we have Fulton County elections and we have municipal elections. And I don't know that Fulton County is responsible for municipal elections, but if they are, could you kind of educate our audience and let them know what the county does and what the municipal one does?
Yes, so it's up to the municipalities if they want us to conduct their elections. That's municipalities within Fulton County. So this particular year, we are conducting them for at least over 10 of the cities. Those will occur on November 7th. We have to, again, recruit, train, prepare program equipment for those municipalities that have opted for us to conduct their election this year.
So the municipalities that do it themselves, Fulton County is not responsible at all? Can you elaborate on that?
We have a small amount of duties that we have to assist them with because they don't have access to the voter database.
Okay.
But it's always been an option for a city to decide if they want us to do their election or not. But if they do their own election, there's a few things we have to do. But for the most part, it's their responsibility to conduct the election.
Okay. Well, listen, we just recently, not too long ago, after I got into office, dealt with redistricting. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people don't know how that works. You all get the bad rap. A lot of times it's you all's fault because of redistricting. But can you just kind of give us a layman's term as to why redistricting take place and what role you all play in it?
Yes, for this particular year, the cities conduct their own redistricting. So that means that for the voters, it could change your city council or ward district. It could change your school board district. It's their discretion of how they move their lines. We just process that. So we just ask voters to stay informed to make sure that they can go to the Secretary of State My Voter page to see what's going to be on their ballot. When they do go vote, we're asking to please review your ballot. That way you can double check, because we can assist you if you have a discrepancy before you scan it. But if you scan it, there's no action we could take at that point. But the best way to find out if your city did any redistricting is to call your city clerk, or go ahead and check the MVP site to see exactly what voting districts you're in.
So let me ask you this. If a person shows up to vote and their name isn't anywhere, what do you suggest they do?
If for a voter,
Yes.
so if a voter comes in and says, and they've said we don't have a record of you on the record, they will call downtown so they can double check what's going on in the database. If there's a discrepancy, they would give you a provisional ballot. That does not mean that it's not going to count. It means it gives us more time to research what's going on. If you get a provisional, that means it's a paper ballot that we have until the Friday after election to see what's happening, to make sure that vote counts. There's other things that happen there, but if you don't see that, if you go and find that problem, a provisional doesn't mean your vote's not going to count. It gives us more time to figure out what happened with your record.
So now you said for them to call you. Is the number posted at the election precinct?
Well, no, the poll manager would call.
The polls. So when in doubt, just ask the poll manager.
Ask the poll manager. The poll manager's going to call downtown. You get that provisional. That means don't freak out. It doesn't mean your vote's not going to count. It means just let's give us time to figure out what's happening. That being said, recently there's some people that have no contact notices have been sent out. Over 40,000 by Thursday. There'll be 40,000 letters sent out to voters that either have not voted for the past 2 general elections, or there's a record that they believe they have either moved out of county or out of state. So if you receive that notice, it gives you time to go ahead and call our office to resolve to your voter registration application information.
Now, let me ask you this. I'm in the community, and the biggest thing I hear from people is saying either they show up to vote and they're not at the correct place. Some kind of way they've been redistricted and they don't even realize it, or they may have had a name change, and they are either not allowed, or if they're done a provisional, they want to do it in their married name and they're told that they can't. Can you just kind of explain to our viewers those 2 scenarios, if they come up, what they should do?
Usually what we run into the most is that a lot of people are used to advanced voting sites. So they believe on election day they can still go to their advanced voting location, which is not the case. If you wait until election day, you have to go to your assigned precinct. We have merged a lot of precincts this year, so there will be notices sent to voters that the precinct has been merged to a neighboring precinct in the area. But again, if they go to MVP, they can look up exactly where they're supposed to go. It even lets you update your address, lets you update your name now online. But that's the best way to just, if you just log in and check your information, right, especially a few days before election day, or just make sure you keep up with your voter record, you'll be fine.
Now, those that are absentee voting, the rules have changed a little bit. Can you speak to that just to make sure that everybody's on the same page?
The application process changed a little bit. You have to, make sure you fill out and upload some documents, but we're putting a video online to help you walk through the process of how to fill it out. And we have a voter education that goes out in the community to help people learn how to fill out absentee application. And if anybody's interested, they can go on our website and ask for that group to come out to their organization to help teach people how to fill out that application.
And so in addition to running the elections, you all do voter outreach.
We do.
Okay.
We repurposed the buses we can't vote on them anymore because of SB 202.
Okay.
So those were repurposed for voter education. So they go out to communities, they go out to schools, college campuses, and help people learn about the elections process, help people fill out absentee applications. We'll actually, hopefully in a few months, start doing election education in our facility. We're working on that right now to come up, but you can come out to our facility, see the facility, and learn about the election process itself to stop misinformation about the elections.
That's great. Now, early voting, you spoke about that, and I've had that to happen in my precinct. My early voting precinct is C.T. Martin, but I vote at St. Paul, which is around the corner. And I have so many people that come up to CT Martin, I've been told, looking to vote on election day, and are told they need. So that is something that happens. But what advice, well, first of all, when does early voting start and when does it end? And what advice would you give for someone who may be a new voter? This may be their first time voting.
Early voting starts October 16th and ends November 3rd for this election cycle. It's actually the preferred method to vote for most people because you have a bigger window.
Okay.
We actually offer Saturday and Sunday voting, and the schedule is on our website. So I would say for a new voter to vote advance voting, because that way, if there's any issues with your record, gives us time to find out what's going on before election day. There'll be at least, I think, 13 sites this election for you to vote. You can, because if you're a voter in Fulton County, you can vote at any of the 13 locations. But on election day, you have to go to your assigned location.
Okay. So we need to know that before advance voting is over, it doesn't depend, wherever you are in Fulton County, you can vote at a site. But on election day,
Yes.
you must vote at your assigned precinct.
Exactly.
I'm glad you gave that information. Let me ask you this. If in fact someone runs into a problem on election day, in layman's term, what would you tell them to do? And do you have either the website or the phone number that they can call?
Right. So on election day, we have everybody's hands on deck. We are answering those phones, assisting the poll managers. And again, your best bet, if you go into that poll and there's any issue with your voter information or record, the provisional is what helps you.
Okay.
People are anti-provisional ballot. I don't know why. But let me say this. If you go to the wrong poll on election day before 5 o'clock and you insist on, and they tell you to go to your assigned precinct and you do not go and want to vote provisional, is not going to count. So do not do that. But if there's an issue with, maybe you forgot your ID, maybe your address or something needs to be updated. If you vote provisionally, then it gives us time to update your record and have that resolved by Friday. So if let's say you show up and you forgot your license, you can still cast that provisional ballot. And you have until Friday after the election to present your ID to us, and we'll make sure your vote counts.
Okay. Well, Nadine, as we close, I have constituents who need accessibility. Speak on, just in general terms, how accessible our precincts are. And I understand with the new elections hub that the accessibility out there is great for those that can get there. But just in general terms, can you speak on that?
Yes, so all of the voting sites are handicap accessible.
Okay.
We are required by law, and we make sure that they're accessible. Also, if you're over 75 and older, you are allowed to move to the front of the line if there is a line. Our goal is not have lines, but
Okay.
if there is a line, you can move to the front of the line. So, and there's in every voting site is equipped with a handicap unit that has a ADATI.
Okay.
If you need assistance with voting. So you have no problems. If you have any disabilities, we will be there to assist you, and we have trained all of our poll managers to do such.
Okay, and the extra advice that I am giving unsolicited, ask for the poll manager if there's a problem.
Yes.
Because you have some great people in place, but we know you've got new people too, and so I tell people often if they're not sure, ask for the poll manager.
And I'm going to say this, and we love our poll managers, but sometimes if the poll manager gives you wrong information, please call our office.
Okay, and that number is?
Is 404, if I say 1-800, 404-612-7020.
Well, Nadine Williams, I appreciate you taking time at your busy schedule. I know you're extremely busy, but thank you for joining us on the Mighty Conversations today. You are a Mighty Elections and Registrations Director, and keep up the good job.
Oh, thank you for the invitation.
All righty. That ends this edition of Mighty Six Conversations. I'm Commissioner Khadijah, guardian of your trust and one who appreciates the opportunity to serve in making sure that Fulton County government is working to meet your needs and concerns. Want to get in touch with our office? Connect with us online. Email me at khadijah.sbdr Abdur-Rahman at fultoncountyga.gov or visit us at commissionerkhadijah.com. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. And of course, you can always contact me at 404-612-8222. Until next time, stay safe and know that the Mighty Six team and I are working for you.